The truth is brutal. Prince Harry didn't walk into the High Court like a returning royal. He walked into London like a man the public has emotionally divorced. And the city answered him with the coldest message possible: silence, and a few raised middle fingers that said everything without a single word. He flew overnight from California, probably expecting the usual chaos, cameras flashing like a storm, supporters crying his name, protesters screaming back, the whole soap opera circling around him like moths to a flame. But what he got wasn't noise. It wasn't even anger. It was something far worse: apathy. London didn't turn into a stage for him. London stayed London. People walked, crossed streets, checked their phones, carried coffee, moved on with their lives like Prince Harry was just another man stepping out of a car. And if you know anything about royalty, you know that's the ultimate insult. Because this is a world built on attention, built on look at me. Built on the sacred idea that you stop, you stare, you care. But nobody stopped. And then, because fate has a sick sense of humor, there it was, not a chant, not a headline, not a dramatic confrontation with photographers. Just a handful of ordinary people in passing foot traffic, lifting their hands in that universal, crude, unmistakable gesture. Middle fingers, no speeches, no megaphones, no coordination. Just raw, instinctive contempt served street level, like a public verdict scribbled in the air. And listen, Harry has fought newspapers, sued publishers, accused institutions, challenged narratives. But what do you do when the message isn't coming from editors or tabloids or palace courtiers? What do you do when it's coming from the people? Because that's the part that stings. That's the part that cuts. This wasn't some sinister media machine twisting the story. This was everyday Britain basically saying, "We're done with you." And Harry still walked in like it was his premiere. Somber suit. That practiced seriousness. The little confident nods, the micro pauses that feel designed for photographers even when decorum tightens the room and the cameras can't swarm like they used to. It's like he's trained himself to move through life as if every step is a scene in a documentary, even when the audience has already left the theater. Because make no mistake, this court trip isn't just a legal errand. It's another chapter in the same long-running saga: Prince Harry versus Britain, Prince Harry versus the press, Prince Harry versus the life he says he escaped, while somehow never letting it go. Inside the courtroom, it's serious. Allegations of breaches of privacy, phone hacking, investigators, old media sins dragged into the light, the kind of stuff that should make anyone uneasy. This isn't fluff. These accusations deserve scrutiny. But outside the court doors, the storyline gets messy. Because the brave prince standing up for truth image hits a wall when the backdrop looks like this: a nation that's largely stopped listening. Harry frames it as principle. He frames it as safety. He frames it as protecting his family. He frames it as standing up to a toxic culture that broke him. And that might land with some people, especially the ones who still see the young boy who lost his mother, the wounded son trying to fight a monster bigger than himself. But in Britain, that reservoir of sympathy, it feels drained. Because while he demands privacy, he's also built a global commercial brand on revealing private grievances. Netflix series, best-selling memoir, sit-down interviews that turn family tension into primetime spectacle. It's confession after confession, delivered with this tone that says, "I'm telling the truth," while the public is sitting there thinking, "Okay, but you keep telling it again and again." And that's the paradox that makes people's eyes narrow. He renounced the institution, renounced the country, renounced the press environment, then keeps returning as a litigant, as a commentator, as a man still fighting the same battlefield he swore he left behind. He walked away from duty, but he never walked away from the drama. To many Britons, it looks like this: a prince who cashed in his heritage for millions, but still wants emotional deference like he never left. A man who says he's escaping obsession, but keeps feeding it. A man who says he's against the media circus, but knows exactly how to keep the tent lit and the crowd curious. And then comes that moment outside the High Court. The moment that says more than any legal filing ever could. Because being yelled at would mean they care. Being protested would mean you still matter. Being chased by paparazzi would mean you still create heat. But being met with a shrug and a few middle fingers from random pedestrians on their commute? That's not rage. That's dismissal. That's social exile. That's the city saying, "You're not the main character here anymore." And for a man whose identity has been shaped by the public gaze since birth, whether adoring or hostile, being treated as irrelevant is a psychological earthquake. Because hatred is still attention. Scandal is still oxygen. But indifference? Indifference is suffocation. Strip away the royal machine, the armored convoys, the wall of aides, the unspoken authority that used to hover around him like a force field, and what's left is a man walking into a courthouse on his own story, without the nation playing along. And maybe that's why the image feels so stark, almost haunting. He looked like a figure displaced from his natural habitat, a prince in a landscape that once revered him, now looking at him with cold, transactional detachment. Because here's the raw truth nobody wants to say out loud. Harry's project since stepping back hasn't just been finding freedom. It's been a demolition of the structures that supported him, of the goodwill that protected him, of the quiet agreement between royals and public that says, we'll tolerate you because you serve something bigger than yourself. But the public mood has shifted. And the High Court sidewalk became the perfect stage for that shift, not because it was packed, but because it wasn't. No cousin showing up in solidarity, no palace statement, no warm nod from the institution, just a strategic silence from the family, almost as if they're saying, you want it out? Fine, handle it. And that silence is loud, because courtrooms are lonely places. They're not therapy circles. They don't run on tears and trauma and my truth. They run on evidence, dates, documents, proof, cold law. So Harry steps into a world where emotion doesn't automatically win, where his public narrative gets dissected like a specimen under harsh lighting. And outside, the public is delivering its own judgment, not in legal language, but in body language, in the refusal to gather, in the decision to keep walking, in the gesture that says, stop acting like this is about the nation, this is about you. And that's the dangerous moment, the moment where a man realizes the crowd isn't booing, it's leaving. And here's where the story twists the knife, because the court case might be about old headlines and illegal tactics, but the real trial is happening in the court of public patience, and that jury looks exhausted. Harry still believes he's fighting a dragon. He still talks like this is a noble crusade, a moral stand, a son avenging a system that chewed up his mother and nearly swallowed him whole. In his mind, every lawsuit is a sword swing. Every appearance is proof he refuses to be silenced. But outside those courthouse doors, the mood doesn't feel like a kingdom rallying behind a warrior. It feels like a country watching an ex-royal shadowbox ghosts while asking everyone else to clap. The disconnect is brutal, because pain can be real and still lose the room. Trauma can be valid and still feel repetitive. And that's the silent shift that moment outside the High Court exposed. People aren't debating his suffering anymore. They're questioning the endless performance of it. He left to escape the spotlight, yet somehow every road leads back to a camera lens, a microphone, a legal battle with a headline attached. It's like he slammed the palace door, then set up a stage in the driveway and kept shouting through a megaphone about how much he hates noise. And Britain? Britain has quietly moved on. New scandals, new worries, real-life bills, strikes, elections, everyday chaos. The monarchy rolls forward without him. The public scrolls past. The outrage cycle spins somewhere else. So when those middle fingers went up, they weren't just insults, they were punctuation. A sharp, wordless full stop at the end of a chapter many people have already closed. Because the harshest fall from royalty isn't losing a title, it's losing the audience.